Imagine that tonight, while you sleep, a miracle happens. The heavy burdens you carry, the anxiety, the self-doubt, the constant noise of the world, simply vanish into the night. Now, ask yourself this: if you woke up tomorrow morning and could choose any quality or ability you wanted, what would it be? Would you choose endless wealth, perfect success? Or would you, in your heart of hearts, choose something deeper? Perhaps a mind that is as calm as a still lake, or a spirit that remains unshakable even when life gets heavy. For most of us, however, the reality of waking up is far from this dream. We open our eyes, and before our feet even touch the floor, the rush begins. The regrets of yesterday are waiting by the bedside. The pressures of today are already sitting heavily on our chests. We haven't even left the warmth of our covers, yet we feel already behind, already fighting a battle. We armor ourselves with stress, believing that if we worry enough, we can control the day. But what if the peace you wished for is not a distant dream, but a choice you can make right now? What if the quality of your entire life is determined by the conversation you have with yourself in those first few sacred minutes of the day? Today on Buddha Coha, we will explore 5 powerful truths, ancient whispers of wisdom, that can transform your morning from a battleground into a sanctuary. Let's discover how to choose peace before the world chooses chaos for you. Settle into a comfortable position. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Take a deep breath in, and let it go. We are about to begin a journey inward. Part 1. Embrace the present moment. The past is a ghost, the future is a dream. I am here. The story, the novice and the hot tea. Let us travel back in time to a misty morning in the mountains of ancient Japan. There lived a young novice monk named Kaito. Kaito was a man of immense dedication, but his mind was like a monkey, jumping from branch to branch, never still. He wanted to be the best monk, the wisest scholar, and he wanted it now. He woke up before the sun, swept the temple floors with furious energy, and chanted the sutras louder than anyone else. Yet, despite his efforts, Kaito was deeply unhappy. He felt a constant low-level vibration of anxiety humming beneath his skin. One crisp autumn morning, the old Zen master, a man whose presence felt like a warm fire in winter, invited Kaito to his hut for tea. Kaito was honored but instantly anxious. His mind began to race. Why has the master called me? Did I sweep the courtyard incorrectly? Is he going to test my knowledge of the scriptures? Will this make me late for the garden duties? By the time Kaito sat down on the tatami mat, he was already exhausted by his own thoughts. The master said nothing. He simply knelt by the low wooden table and began the tea ceremony. Every movement was slow, deliberate, and fluid, like water flowing over river stones. He ladled the hot water, the steam rising in curling ribbons against the cool morning air. He whisked the green matcha powder until it frothed perfectly. The room was filled with the earthy, grassy scent of the tea. The master placed the ceramic bowl in front of Kaito. Kaito, eager to please and rushing mentally to get to his next task, grabbed the bowl with both hands. He blew on it once and gulped the hot liquid down in one large, unceremonious swallow. He set the bowl down with a loud clack. The master looked at him gently, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Kaito," he whispered. "Tell me, what did the tea taste like?" Kaito blinked, startled. "It was hot, master. Very hot." The master smiled, but his eyes held a deep, compassionate sadness. "You felt the heat, Yes. But you did not taste the tea. You drank the tea in a hurry to get to the future. But the future is not here, Kaito. The tea was here. You missed the tea. Just as you are missing your life. The master refilled the cup. Try again. This time, do not drink to finish. Drink to drink. Kaito lifted the bowl again. He looked at the steam dancing. He inhaled the aroma. He felt the warmth seep through the ceramic into his palms. He took a sip, letting the liquid roll over his tongue, tasting the bitterness and the sweetness. For the first time that morning, the noise in his head stopped. There was only the tea. The Buddhist wisdom, the illness of time traveling. This simple story holds a mirror to our modern lives. We are all Kaito. We wake up, and immediately, we are time traveling. When you are in the shower, are you feeling the water, or are you arguing with your boss in your head? When you are drinking your coffee, are you tasting the beans, or are you worrying about the traffic? The Buddha taught that the root of much of our suffering is our inability to abide in the now. We live in the graveyard of the past, replaying old mistakes, feeling regret. Or we live in the fantasy of the future, filled with what-ifs and catastrophe scenarios. But the past is a ghost, it is gone forever. The future is a dream, it has not happened yet. When you wake up and immediately flood your mind with worry, you are suffering for things that do not currently exist. You are fragmenting your energy. You feel scattered because you are scattered. Pieces of your soul are stuck in yesterday, pieces are terrified of tomorrow, and almost none of you is here, in the safety of this room, in the miracle of this breath. The only place where life actually happens, the only place where you can love, create, or find peace, is this precise moment. As the Zen saying goes, when you walk, just walk. When you eat, just eat. Practical application, that just this practice. So, the first powerful thing you must tell yourself tomorrow morning is, I embrace the present moment. Now is all I have. How do you apply this practically? You don't need a mountain retreat. You can do it right in your bedroom. 1. Sensory grounding. The moment you wake, resist the urge to touch your phone. Instead, find 3 things you can feel. The softness of the blanket. The weight of your head on the pillow. The cool air on your face. Ground yourself in the physical reality of the room. 2. Narrate the now. As you move through your morning routine, silently say to yourself what you are doing. I am pouring water. I am brushing my teeth. I am putting on my socks. This sounds simple, but it is profound training for the mind. 3. The return. Every time your mind jumps to a worry about the day ahead, gently say to it, not now. Just this. By doing this, you build a fortress of presence. You prevent the anxieties of the future from hijacking your peace. You claim your power back, one breath at a time. Part 2. Cultivate inner peace. I am the sky, not the clouds. The story, the gift of anger. It is said that one day, the Buddha was walking through a village with his disciples. A young man, filled with bitterness and rage, rushed out of the crowd. He was furious with the Buddha's teachings, believing they were misleading the people and distracting them from their traditions. The man stood before the enlightened one and began to scream. He shouted the most vile insults. He cursed the Buddha, mocked his appearance, and spat at his feet. The Buddha's disciples were outraged. They were ready to defend their master, their hands clenching into fists. But the Buddha raised a hand to stop them. He stood there, completely still. His face was like the surface of a deep, windless lake, calm, clear, and undisturbed. He looked at the screaming man not with anger, but with a profound, melting compassion. Eventually, the young man ran out of words. His throat was sore, and his energy was drained. He stood there panting, confused by the Buddha's silence. He shouted, "Why do you not answer me? Are you deaf? Or are you afraid to fight back?" The Buddha stepped forward softly, his voice as melodious as a bell. "My son, if you buy a gift for someone, wrapped in beautiful paper, and you try to give it to them, but they refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The young man was startled by the strange question. "Well," he stammered, "if they don't take it, the gift stays with me. It belongs to me." The Buddha nodded slowly, a small smile playing on his lips. "Exactly so. You have come here today with a gift of anger, hatred, and insults. But I do not accept this gift. I decline it. So, tell me, my son, to whom does this suffering belong now?" The young man stood frozen. The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. He saw that his anger had not burned the Buddha, it had only burned his own heart. The Buddha remained untouched, not because the insults weren't harsh, but because he chose not to let them enter his spirit. The Buddhist wisdom, the sovereignty of the mind. This story teaches us the second essential truth: peace is an inside job. We often believe that our stress comes from the outside. We say, "He made me angry," or "This traffic is driving me crazy." We act as if we are thermometers, simply reflecting the temperature of the room. If the world is hot, we get hot. If the world is chaotic, we get chaotic. But the Buddha teaches us to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. We set the temperature. True peace, known in Buddhism as samadhi, is not the absence of chaos. It is the ability to remain centered within the chaos. It is the understanding that nothing outside of you has the authority to disturb your inner peace unless you hand over the keys. When you react with anger to someone else's anger, you are accepting the gift. You are swallowing the poison intended for someone else. There is a concept in Buddhism called the second arrow. The first arrow is the painful event, the bad news, the rude comment, the traffic jam. We cannot control the first arrow. But often, we shoot ourselves with a second arrow, our reaction, our ruminating, our rage, our "why me" storytelling. The first arrow hurts, but the second arrow is what causes us to suffer. The second arrow is optional. Practical application, the morning shield visualization. The second thing you must tell yourself every morning is, "I cultivate inner peace. Nothing outside can disturb my calm without my permission." Before you check your emails or look at the news, take 1 minute to visualize a shield of golden light surrounding your body. This is your boundary. Tell yourself, "I am the sky, everything else is just weather passing through. Today, people may be rude, but I will remain kind. Today, circumstances may be difficult, but I will remain centered." Make a vow that today, you will not be a victim of circumstance. If chaos arises, you will be the eye of the storm, calm, observant, and unwavering. Remember, your reaction is your responsibility. By choosing not to react impulsively, you retain your power. If you are finding peace in these words and want to continue this journey of wisdom and healing with us, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, Buddha Coha. Your support helps us share these stories with more souls seeking serenity in a chaotic world. Join our community, and let's walk this path together. Part 3. Practice self-compassion. I am a work in progress, and that is beautiful. The story, The Cracked Pot. There is a beautiful Indian fable about a water bearer who had 2 large pots, each hung on the ends of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots was perfect. It was smooth, robust, and always delivered a full portion of water from the stream to the master's house. The other pot, however, had a deep crack in its side. At the end of the long walk from the stream, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For 2 years, this went on daily. The perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect for what it was made to do. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection. It felt miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made to do. It felt like a failure. One day by the stream, the cracked pot spoke to the water bearer. "I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you." "Why?" asked the bearer. "What are you ashamed of?" "Because of this crack in my side, water leaks out all the way back to your house. You work so hard, but you don't get full value from your efforts because of my flaw." The water bearer smiled warmly. "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side?" The pot looked up and saw that the path was indeed lined with beautiful wildflowers on one side. "That's because I have always known about your flaw," the bearer said. "So I planted flower seeds on your side of the path. Every day while we walk back, you water them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the master's table. Without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty to grace the house." The Buddhist wisdom, Maitri, loving kindness. In the West, we are often our own harshest critics. We wake up and immediately judge ourselves. "I didn't sleep enough, I'm not successful enough, I look too old, I haven't done enough." This internal warfare depletes our spirit before the day even begins. Buddhism teaches the concept of Maitri, which translates to loving kindness. But Maitri must begin with oneself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you judge yourself constantly, you will judge the world. If you cannot forgive your own cracks and flaws, you will not appreciate the flowers that grow because of them. Perfection is an illusion. It is a trap that keeps us stuck in dissatisfaction. The story of the cracked pot reminds us that our vulnerabilities are often the source of our greatest strengths. Our struggles give us empathy. Our failures give us wisdom. Our cracks are where the light enters, and where your unique beauty spills out to the world. Practical application, the hand on heart. The third powerful affirmation for your morning is, I practice self-compassion. I treat myself with the kindness I would offer a dear friend. Try this simple ritual tomorrow. Look at yourself in the mirror. Not with a critical eye examining wrinkles or flaws, but look into your own eyes. Place a hand over your heart. Feel its beat. Acknowledge that you are a human being, doing the best you can in a complex world. Whisper to yourself, it is okay to be imperfect. I forgive myself for yesterday's mistakes. I am worthy of love and happiness. By starting the day as your own best friend, you create a supportive internal environment. You become resilient. When the world criticizes you, it won't hurt as much because you know your own worth. Part 4. Recognize inner resources. I am not empty. I am full. The story, the jewel in the robe. In the Lotus Sutra, one of the most important texts in Mahayana Buddhism, there is a parable about a poor man who visited a wealthy friend. They ate and drank together, and the poor man fell asleep. The wealthy friend had to leave on a business trip, but before he left, he wanted to help his friend. He took a priceless jewel, a gem of unimaginable value, and sewed it into the lining of the poor man's robe while he slept. The poor man woke up, unaware of the jewel. He resumed his life of wandering, working hard for little pay, always struggling, always feeling lacking. He traveled through many lands, encountering great hardships, content with just enough food to stay alive. He thought of himself as a beggar, a man of bad luck. Years later, he met his wealthy friend again. The friend was shocked to see him in such a ragged state. "Why have you lived like this?" the friend asked. "I sewed a priceless jewel into your robe years ago. It is still there. You have been walking around as a beggar while carrying a fortune closer to you than your own skin." The poor man felt the lining of his robe and found the jewel. He wept, realizing he had suffered unnecessarily because he was unaware of his own wealth. The Buddhist wisdom, Buddha nature. We often wake up with a mindset of scarcity. We think, "I need more money to be happy, I need a partner to feel complete, or I need recognition to feel worthy." We look outside ourselves for fulfillment, like a deer searching the forest for the scent of musk, not realizing the scent comes from its own navel. Buddhism teaches that we all possess Buddha nature, Tathagatagarbha, an inherent core of wisdom, compassion, and strength. You are not broken, you are not lacking. You are simply unaware of the jewel sewn into the fabric of your being. Everything you need to be happy, strong, and peaceful is already within you. You don't need to acquire worthiness, you need to uncover it. Practical application, shifting from lack to abundance. The fourth truth to tell yourself is, I recognize my inner resources. Everything I need is already within me. When the morning thought comes that says, I can't handle this, correct it immediately. Remind yourself of the challenges you have already overcome. Remind yourself of the jewel within. Shift your focus from what you don't have to what you are. You are alive. You are conscious. You have the capacity to learn, to adapt, and to love. This shift from lack to self-reliance breaks the cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. When you realize you are already full, you stop begging from the world, and you start contributing to it. Part 5. Be a source of peace. My peace is a gift to the world. The story, the samurai and the gate. A big, tough samurai, renowned for his skill with a blade but also his short temper, once went to see a little Zen monk. "Monk," he barked, his voice shaking the walls. "Teach me about heaven and hell." The monk looked up at the mighty warrior. He didn't bow. He didn't show fear. Instead, he looked at the samurai with utter disdain. "Teach you?" the monk scoffed. "Why should I teach you? Look at you. You are dirty. You smell. Your blade is rusty. You are a disgrace to the samurai class. Get out of my sight, I can't stand you." The samurai was furious. He shook with rage. His face turned red, and the veins on his neck stood out like cords. He couldn't believe this tiny man was insulting him. He pulled out his sword and raised it high, ready to sever the monk's head. Just as the sword began its descent, the monk looked straight into the samurai's eyes and said softly, "That is hell." The samurai froze. The blade hovered inches from the monk's neck. He realized the monk had risked his life to show him the manifestation of hell, which was his own uncontrollable anger. He saw how easily he had been manipulated into violence. He was overcome with gratitude for this profound lesson. He slowly sheathed his sword. He fell to his knees, bowed low, and a look of deep peace and humility washed over his face. "And that," said the monk gently, "is heaven. The wisdom, interbeing and influence." This story shows us that we are the creators of the atmosphere around us. We can create hell for ourselves and others through anger, or we can create heaven through mindfulness and peace. We often think we are separate from the world. But Buddhism teaches interbeing, the deep interconnectedness of all things. Your morning mood affects your partner, which affects their commute, which affects their coworkers. If you wake up and choose to be a source of irritability, you pollute the world. If you wake up and choose to be a source of peace, you heal the world. Your state of being is not a private matter. It is your contribution to the collective consciousness. Practical application, the vow of service. The final powerful thing to tell yourself is, I will be a source of peace. My presence will bring calm to others. Set an intention that your very presence will be a gift to the world today. Decide that you will smile at the stranger. You will be patient in traffic. You will listen without interrupting. By committing to being a cause of peace, you stop being a victim of the world and become a benefactor to it. You realize that the best way to find happiness is to give it away. The morning ritual of the soul. As we come to the end of our journey today, let us review the 5 pillars of your new morning mind. These are the tools that will help you answer the question we asked at the beginning: how to choose the quality of your life. 1. Embrace the present moment. Do not live in the ghost of yesterday or the fantasy of tomorrow. Drink your tea. Be here. 2. Cultivate inner peace. Remember the empty boat. Remember the gift of anger. Do not accept what disturbs your soul. You are the sky. 3. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to the cracked pot within you. Your flaws are where the flowers grow. 4. Recognize inner resources. You are not a beggar. You have the jewel in your robe. You are enough, just as you are. 5. Be a source of peace. Heaven and hell are choices you make in every moment. Choose to create heaven for those around you. As you move forward into your day, carry these truths with you. They are not just words, they are tools for liberation. The morning is not just a time of day, it is a state of mind. Every breath is a new morning. Every moment is a chance to start again. As the great Thich Nhat Hanh said, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. May your mornings be filled with light. May your heart be filled with peace. And may you realize that the sanctuary you seek is already within you. Thank you for spending these moments of reflection with us. If this video brought a sense of calm to your spirit, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to Buddha Coha. Your support allows us to continue creating content that heals the soul. Until next time, breathe deeply, smile gently, and walk in peace.